Francis Ngannou is gone from the UFC, and it's not a bad thing. like, so we're just gonna break it down a little something like this. This guy did nothing but bitch and complain about money. Like, that's all he did. He was crazy complaining about money and not feeling like he was getting what he was worth. Now, Francis, come here. Just come here. Just come here. You did like less than 300,000 your last pay-per-view, like videos like this. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna be doing the shit live. Like we're gonna do the research live right here on cam. So we're gonna do this live on camera. So we can not embellish nothing, get everything right. So basically, the title is basically what I feel about him leaving. So I'll just say what I feel about Francis' release. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I really don't. I mean, this guy had people in his corner that led him down the wrong path, and I think it's fucked up. It's similar to the Ronda Rousey situation, right? Where that she had one of the worst coaches in the world coaching her, telling her that she did a good fucking job in the first round against Holly Holm. Like, and he had the same thing with him. Like, Jake Paul and everybody was getting in his ear saying, you should get this and you deserve this. And it's when will these fighters learn that you get paid what you bring in? When the fuck will they learn, dude? They don't learn. They really don't. And as much as I hate her, as much as I can't stand Ronda Rousey, she said it best. Because a woman reporter tried to say that, bring up the pay gap, the gender pay gap. And Ronda just flat out basically shot holes through her statement and was like, listen, like, you get what you bring in. That it's simple as that. Like, there's no gender bias here. If you bring in the money, you get paid. And she was getting paid. She got $3 million to get her skull caved in by Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes made like $500,000 for that fight. She was the champion. But that's just what the UFC paid. She likely got more. And that's the thing. They don't just get paid from that. So it's like, oh, they make $500,000 from the fight. Count the other sponsorships, the commercials, everything like that. This motherfucker was in Jackass, Francis Ngannou. He was in another movie. He was in a movie last year. So let's do the live research, right? So Francis Ngannou was the champion for one fight. One fight. Okay, the Apex, we're not going to count that. There was no attendance. So UFC 270 when he fought Ciryl Gane, right? His first defense. It was a $5 million gate. That's not too shabby. They don't even have the fucking numbers here, dude. I'm sure that they used to. But MMA Guru, who's a great fucking dude, check out his channel. It will be in the link below. Or in a link below. But he said that on a recent video of his talking about this whole situation that it was only like 300,000. It was maybe like 300,000 buys. That's embarrassing. So just to give you a clue of what sells, so we'll look up Israel Adesanya for a second here. We'll look him up. So they have his numbers posted, but not Francis' numbers. That's a little weird to me, don't you think? Don't you think that if you sold a lot of pay-per-views that they would disclose that? A lot of the times they do. So they have the, oh wow, 11 million gate for the Pereira fight. That's good. That's a good gate. Oh, they're not showing it at all. They used to. Okay. Okay, yes, yeah, they're not showing it. They're not showing the pay-per-view buys in the section anymore. Okay, they do for this fight. They do for the Blachowicz fight, where Israel Adesanya was going to be the double champ, right? 800,000 buys. That's good. That's why Israel Adesanya was getting money. Adesanya versus Costa, 700,000 buys. More than double of Francis's buys. Yoel Romero, doesn't show the buys for that. But we can just go to his little page here and you can see all the pay-per-view buys. I'm quite certain. Okay, they have the pay-per-view buys here. So, Adesanya and Silva, obviously he wasn't champ then, 175,000 buys. That's fucking terrible. When he fought Costa after he was champion, 700,000 buys. Francis was not bringing people in before he was champion, obviously. Israel Adesanya, before he was champion, 175,000 buys. As soon as he becomes champion, triple the buys. More than triple the buys when he became champion. And then it went up 100,000 more buys his next fight. Then his next fight against Vettori went down 200,000 to 600,000. Adesanya versus Cannonier, 400,000 buys. And then Adesanya Pereira, the rematch, the most buys he's ever gotten with 850,000. That's why Adesanya was getting paid around like $2 million or something like that. He was grossing money. This is what we need to understand here. Francis Ngannou was not getting money for the company. He just wasn't. And people like to sit here and try to justify why he left. And I see where they're coming from. It's because he had a choice. Apparently from what was reported, he was offered a contract. He didn't like the contract. Well, what do you think that you deserve? Again, let's be realistic here. You drew no money when you were champion. That fight versus Gane was terrible. It was awful. It had a couple of moments. Out of 25 minutes, you only give us a couple of good moments. When he fought Derek Lewis, that turned a lot of people off of him. If you see that Derek Lewis fight, it is awful. It is one of the worst fights in history. Like I just said, the Gane fight was awful. That was Clay Guida and Diego Sanchez compared to him and Derek Lewis. That fight, it wasn't even a fight. They could have fought literally the next day. If the UFC did like a double header, they could have been like, "Oh, you need a heavyweight? I'll save it," and they would have threw you on the card because nothing. Francis had a lot of highlights, but he fell into he was like Tyron Woodley almost after he became champion, and just some of his fights, like he just wasn't letting his hands fucking go, dude. I understand you don't want to let your hands go against Derek Lewis. That can be a death sentence because Derek Lewis is he is the Black Beast. If he hits you, he shuts your lights off. But like when Francis was champion, which was very short, he against Gane, it was like he was scared to do shit. And then I don't know, I want to defend him because I did like him. I really did. But I can't defend him. I can't. Like you draw nothing, you bring nothing. He has no personality to sell any fights. And that's not really fair because English isn't his first language and things like that. So it's like, I don't even know if that's fucking true. I don't know why I said that one, but he has broken English, I should have said. So he has broken English. He's not a mean dude. Like he's not a mean-spirited dude, you know what I'm saying? So it's Demetrius Johnson. He's like Demetrius Johnson when it comes to his character, and then when he fights, he's like Tyron Woodley after Tyron Woodley was champ. He just it's like he's scared to fight. And I understand you want to be careful. Israel Adesanya had the same problem. When he was champion, he just leg kicking at range. What the fuck is that, dude? What is that? Usman was the most exciting out of those three guys. That's plain and simple. Usman drew money. Israel Adesanya drew money. You didn't draw money. And yet you cry that you want more money. Like, I see people, too. They go on about Conor McGregor, how he never bitches about money. You fucking know why? He announces he's coming back to fight. 1 million buys minimum. On a pay-per-view. Minimum. He just has to announce. They just have to announce he's fighting. They don't even have to announce who he's fighting, when the fight happens, and where it's going to be. They announce Conor McGregor's coming back for a fight. He's going to be the main event because he's the biggest name that UFC has probably ever seen. Because this new whole social media era, he kind of has some easier access, I guess. It's easier to be more famous now if you have a personality like that. Back in the day, GSP, the golden era of UFC, when GSP, Jones, and Silva were killing it, around 2011, you just went out, they just went out there and fought. And Francis should have done that. He should have been saying, you know what, I'll make my name, I'll build myself, I'll do this, this, and this, I'll make sure that all my ducks are in a row. But no, he had one fucking defense, and then says, oh, pay me money. What job? What job in the world that you just got there and you can automatically just want more money? You throw a tantrum and you get more money. In what job in the world? Especially in, like, the entertainment industry. Like, holy fuck. Do you know why LeBron James is paid all that money? He brings in money. He brings money. He brings viewers. If he makes the finals, people watch it. Do you see what I'm saying, Francis? No one wanted to watch you, especially after the Gone fight. You know what you should have fucking done? You should have said, okay, I'm coming back, or do what GSP did after he beat Bisping. GSP had colitis, which is a fucking horrible condition. He explained on the Joe Rogan podcast that even just to put on weight, he was at the table literally throwing up his food as he was eating it, because it was that hard for his body to register putting on that amount of weight. That's why he never went up to 185, and I don't fault him for that anymore. I always used to say he was scared of Silva, which part of me kind of thinks he was, but if he had have struggled like that back then while he was still even in his fucking peak, I wouldn't have wanted to see that fight. He wouldn't have been at his best. So it's like they just fought people who came up. And if Ngannou had have done that and just said, okay, I'll come back and I'll do this, I'll vacate, you know what, I'll vacate the title. That's what I meant to go with that. So GSP vacated the title, right? Ngannou should have done the same thing. He should have just said, okay, I'm going to be out for this long, longer than expected. I'll vacate the title. People fight over a vacant title, but I'm going to come back. I'm going to sign a new contract. Give me this person, this person, this person, this person. Hell, whoever wins the vacant title, since I vacated it, I get the winner of those two. Or I fight the contender that came up, which I think is the more fair way. He fights the number one contender for that title if he wasn't in the mix. So then they're the eliminator, and then if he beats that person, then he beats that champion. That way, he comes back. He doesn't just get immediately tossed back into the title scene. It looks good for him, especially if he vacated the title on his own merit, and like as soon as he was hurt. Like, don't hold up the division. Don't slow anything down. That's ultimately what he did. He just slowed down the heavyweight division. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's what he did. And the UFC suffered big time for it. And I don't it's column A, column B. The UFC is to blame for this, and he's to blame as well. Because it's like, could you have paid him a little more? Maybe. But you got to think like a businessman. If it was your business, okay? If you were running the UFC and you looked at the numbers, just the numbers from that one pay-per-view, which is around 250, 300,000 buys, would you say to yourself, Francis Ngannou deserves more money? Or, I read off Israel Adesanya's numbers. You can go check them. I literally still have the page up. We read his numbers. Then you look at his numbers. Triple Ngannou's pay-per-view numbers. Who do you give the more money to? The guy who brings viewers in, who brings money in, people who are paying the crazy fucking amount of money for pay-per-views nowadays, because the pay-per-views just fucking went up in price. You give Conor McGregor that money. You gave Ronda Rousey that money because people like me, who were haters and wanted to see her lose, we paid just to see that. It's the Floyd Mayweather effect, right? You pay to see them. They either come to see me win or come to see me lose, but either way, I pack the place, right? That's what happened. Everyone goes to see Francis for a big knockout, and then when he doesn't get it, it's just like, well, fuck. He's got nothing else. He gasses out. It's like, he doesn't really, aside from that knockout power, he's not a complete fighter. He just isn't. He's not exciting. At all. But Conor McGregor, he comes back and he'll knock somebody out real quick, or they'll feed him somebody because they called Conor out. He comes back, starches him. The crowd goes fucking nuts. The crowd hasn't fucking gone nuts for Ngannou since he almost took Overeem's head off, literally. Alistair Overeem looked like a fucking Pez dispenser when he hit him. So it's a good thing that he's gone. But that's just me, man. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Because again, you had all these people in your ear telling you, you deserve this, you deserve that, you deserve that, right? You should go here, make money here, have a super fight with Tyson Fury. Like, yeah, like he'd fucking win that. I never actually watched Tyson Fury fight, but when I saw him fight Chisora, Ngannou would get fucked up. Tyson Fury has to avoid the power, let him gas out in the first or second round, and then he would just pick him apart. And that's all there is to it. And I think, too, that's why one of the reasons he wanted to vacate and get out of there, because he knew that Jon Jones fight was coming. What's Jon Jones' main technique that he always does, everybody? That oblique kick to the top of the knee. Francis Ngannou has a bad knee. Jones would have been picking at that knee the first round, and Ngannou would have been fucked. You hear me? Let me say it into the microphone. He would have been fucked if he had took that fight. If that fight had happened, it would have been probably the biggest fight in heavyweight history. Okay, number one. Number two, Ngannou would have been beaten badly. He would have gotten terribly exposed because he would have took out his knee in the first round. If it still wasn't out, he would have taken it out in the second round, and then he would have just wrestled Ngannou and submitted him. That's just how it goes. Or he would have ground and pounded him. I suggest going for the ground and pound, because those fucking big limbs, it's going to be hard to submit him. So you just keep ground and pounding him, and it would have been over. And the whole Ngannou hype would have been washed away. I assure you that's what would have happened. People go, oh, well, you're just a hater of Ngannou. I said it in the video. Before, a few minutes ago. I was an Ngannou fan. But when you pull the Tyron Woodley bullshit of how, oh, I deserve this, and oh, I should be getting paid more money, and he didn't race bait, which you're lucky you didn't fucking race bait, because I would have tore you apart on that. About Tyron Woodley race baiting, oh, how come Conor McGregor is getting paid more than Demetrious Johnson? Demetrious Johnson's the highest paid, he's not the highest paid, he's the number one pound for pound. Have you seen Demetrious Johnson try to sell a fight? He's the nicest fucking guy in the world, outside of the octagon. That doesn't sell fights these days, not to these casuals out here. To us, it sells the fight because we're like, fuck, Demetrious Johnson's a great fighter. We know what he can do. He's a beast. But to casuals, they just want to see that knockout, and that's what you were famous for, Francis. And then you stopped doing that, and in the Gane fight, you looked terrible, and you kind of exposed yourself. He did that one takedown, that one crazy takedown, and everyone was like, oh shit, he did fucking awesome against Gane. No, Gane was beating him. And I think Gane won that fight. But where's the money? In Jones and Ngannou? Or a Cyril Gane rematch? Right? Or a Cyril Gane Jones fight, which is happening. But the money was in Ngannou Jones, because this is going to be Jones' first loss. Ngannou's going to be the one guy ever to knock out Jon Jones, because probably if he knocked out Jones, right, Jones would have retired. He comes back after so long, almost 3 years off, and he loses his first fight back in a new division. People wouldn't have faulted him, but who knows? Francis hits him, he could have fucking got brain damage. We don't know. We don't know now that the fight's not happening. Francis is gone. He's out of the UFC. So they gave it to Ngannou in the Gane fight, and I honestly think it was to set up that fight with to set up the fight with Jones, because he was talking about it. The money was there. I don't blame UFC for wanting to do that, but the fact is, it's like, that's the only way that Francis can get paid, is if he has a big name like John Jones, or let's say a Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar and Ngannou would have been fucking intense, but like, that's the only way that Ngannou gets paid that big money from somebody else, because he just does not do that. He does not bring that excitement. So that's just my take on the whole Francis Ngannou situation. I think it's a good thing he's gone, and now we can finally, hopefully, see the heavyweight division flourish and actually do something. But there's no, I can't accept that. I can't accept the crying for more money when you don't draw a fucking dime. So that's just where I'm at. That's just how I think about the whole situation, guys. Him being gone's a good thing, man. It's a good thing that Francis is gone. I don't know exactly what I'm going to title the video, but yeah, it's not bad. It's not. So don't cry over it. Just get over it. We got Jones back. We're getting him versus Cyril gone. That's going to be a real good fight. And hey, so hit the like button if you like the video. Hit subscribe if you like the video. Also, it's A-Town 23, but that's just me. See you guys.